Peace be upon you all. In this course, I'm going to do my best to give you all what you really need to get started with this beautiful language. In other words, I'm going to give you only the golden formations, from hello world program up to structured programs that gather everything. After completing this course, if God wants, you will be able to write your own programs and console applications. All the links are provided at the description, and also you're going to find a PDF file that gathers all what we're going to do. And for every single program, you'll find its source code link at the description to my GitHub repository or on my website. What is a C language? C is an imperative procedural language supporting structured programming, lexical variable scope, and recursion. With a static type system, it was designed to be compiled to provide low-level access to memory and language constructs that map efficiently to machine instructions, all with minimal runtime support. The first step that you need to start coding in C language, you have to choose an editor. There's a lot of editors out there like CodeBlock and Div++ and other editors, but the most one that I really recommend to you to use, like I use, it is Visual Studio Code. So first of all, go to this website. You're going to find the link in the description. This is the original website of Visual Studio Code. Download the Visual Studio Code from here for Windows, or you have Mac or something, just look out to download the version for your computer. After that, you need you're going to install it in a normal way and open it like this. You're probably gonna find this in another theme, but you can change that by go into File and then Preferences and Color Theme, and then choose the color to white or anything that you want. After that, you need to download the compiler for C language. So back to this Google or any browser you use, then again jump to this website. Also going to find the link in the description. This is using GCC with MinGW. So this is the steps to download the GCC for or the compiler of C language or C++ language to your computer or to Visual Studio Code. So there is some steps like downloading Visual Studio Code and adding some extensions. All the extensions that we're going to use, I'm gonna show you a bit later, okay? Or let me show you first the extensions. So go open Visual Studio Code, go to extensions, or use the shortcut Ctrl+Shift+X. Then inside the search bar, add C. And download this extension C and slash C++. Then also download this C slash extension pack. After that, go and download Code Runner by typing Code Runner. This Code Runner, download it also on your Visual Studio Code. After downloading Code Runner, go to edit some other stuff on Visual Studio Code. Go to File. So let me remove this. Go to File and make the autosave. Click on autosave. This little mark here on the left. Just check it like this. So just check it. File, then check autosave. Again, go to File, Preferences, then Settings. Then also here search for settings.json, or just here it is, edit setting for JSON, and open this file. Go here and add this line of code, edit format on save, and set it to true. After that, we need now to install the the C++ or C compiler, and it is the MinGW or GCC. MinGW. So again, here to the website, jump to the step number 3 and click here link to the installer. Click on it and then download it in your computer. I already downloaded, as you see here. This is the MCY is to that you have to download. That just save it any place you want. Again, go and install it normally. So I'm gonna bring it, here it is. Just install it normally. I have already installed on my computer. Normally just click on it and follow the steps, like next, 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 until the installation complete. Okay, after that, yes, after that a little windows is gonna pop up, or just go to bar search and type mc y is 2 and click on it. Okay, then again return back or go back to the website and copy this command here, pacman neither base-devel ming. Just copy this code here and go back to this window and copy it. Then hit enter. This list of or repository of MinGW64. You could choose any version or anything that you want to download, but we want to download them all. So all you have to do, as you see here, enter a selection, default equal all. So all you have to do, just click on enter on the keyboard. Okay, this is the files that gonna download. It is packages 64, and here is total download size 163 and total install size 1 GB. So process with installation, just click on yes and then hit enter and let the process complete. I have already, as I said, installed this on my computer. I have all the packages. Now we're gonna jump to the next step. So I have only to close this. Now back to the website. When you complete that, the step number 4, open your computer or this PC, go to local disk C, then choose program files and look out for this folder here. Click on it, open this, open bin, and then copy the directory. Okay, copy it like this or cut it or whatever, close it. Then go to edit environment variables for your account. You have just to look out for search bar, open this. In the search bar of the Windows, type edit environment, then click on it. It's gonna pop up this window. Go to environment variables, then choose path, then edit, then new, then pass the path that we just copied. Okay, I already put it here, as you see. So I then click OK. I don't have to click OK. Again click OK. I don't have to click OK, but you have to click on OK. Then OK at the end. After that, you are ready to start. As you see, select OK. And finally, to just check if your steps went well, all you have to do, open the terminal or anything, then type these both commands, g++ -- version or gdp -- version, or another command that is gcc -- version. So I'll go here, I'll type g++ -- version. As you see, the version that I have here, it is 8.1.0, and also I'm gonna type gcc -- version. As you see, I'm gonna copy this command. I'm sorry. Back here, let me pass it and hit enter. As you see, everything is installed well. So now what I'm gonna do, just close this and close. Now we completed the installation. All we have to do, just start our first program, and we're gonna type hello world. So let me type hello world. So let me save the file with the extension of .c. I'll say hello.c. So the extension .c, that means this file represents a C program or a C code. Then save it. Then type something the thing that I'm going to do now, we're going to explain it later. But now I'm just going to type hello world to see if it's working or not. So code, I'll jump and print hello world. Now to run, let's go to run, then run without debug. Then choose the compiler. I'm gonna just choose anything. For instance this, then gcc.x. As you see now on the terminal, it's gonna run, or you could as you see here on the terminal, hello world has been printed. And for shortcut, if you don't want to use this, only go to this button here, then run the code, and again hello world is gonna print on the terminal. If you want to move this terminal on the right, all you have to do is just right click on it, and it is move panel right. As you see now, the code on the left and the output on the terminal on the right. Up to now we completed with the installation. Let's move on to the rest of the course. Alright, now after setting the environment, we're going to create a folder and create some files that we're going to work with. So I'm gonna jump to the desktop and create, and here I'm gonna create a folder called, for instance, here folder with the name of basics of C language, lang for instance. Okay, this folder here it is. I'm gonna put it in Visual Studio Code. Alright, now we are ready to start coding. We're gonna start with the syntax of this language. So syntax dot C. Of course, the extension of C to know that we are working in with the C language. Okay, the syntax in C language, you have to include some libraries to be ready to print or to start coding. Okay, first you have to include the standard library for input and output, because this library we're gonna work with it. So input standard library, input and output. As you see here, when I typed, it shows me here all the libraries. For instance, if I want to use math functions, I have to import math.h. Okay, this is a library where all the equations of math like sin, cosine, and tangent, all of them are in this math.h. But we need to import stdio.h. Okay, then we type int, then define the main function, and this is the driver program. Okay, inside of here we return 0 like this. And here, so this is the syntax of the C language. Here, all you have to do to pass your code here. So if I want anything to type it, all I have to do just to pass the code here. Pass the code here. And as you saw in the beginning, I print here hello world. So to print hello world, just do the printf function. Okay, and then then do the parentheses. As you see, this is the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, you have to do the double quote, and then pass the text here. For instance, hello world. For instance, if I just do print without double quote, only one quote, and type, for instance, anything like this, then add the semicolon at the end, and I run the code. as you see, anything has been an error, cause we have to put here double quotes. Okay, double quotes. If I run it again, it's gonna print hello world then anything. So this is the syntax of a C language. Now we're gonna move. Now we're going to get to know how to use comment or to do comment in C. So another file, name it comment.c. Let me pause, include just to type the syntax is tdio.h, then int main. Alright, to do comment in C, there is two ways to do comment. If you want only to comment one line, you could use double slash like this and pass here your comment, or this is for one line, to comment one line. Let me to do to comment one line, and this to comment multiple lines. To comment, as you see, comment multiple lines like this. So there is two types. The first one, this is the first one, and this is the second one to comment in C. Variables in C. How to define variables in C? Let me create another file called variables.c. Again, the structure or the syntax of C language. This is another standard library, as you see here. This is the input and output library, and this is the standard library. Both of them are important. Okay, and with the rest of the course, we're going to to get to know more about libraries and more other libraries, and also in C programs, probably going to find them in my in the channel. Also, we're going there to add a lot of other libraries and how to use them. Alright, now variables. For numbers, to define numbers such as, so let me use comments again. So to use numbers like to define numbers like -1, for instance, 2, this number, this number, minus this and this, use integer. Okay, for instance, I'll say int year, then I pass the year, for instance 2022, and pass semicolon at the end. Okay, this is how to define integer numbers. There's another way. It is for numbers like, for instance, -1 point this number, 3.14 this number, and this is pi probably, and this number point this number. Use float or double. Two ways to define them. So you do float and say, for instance, point equal to 2.3, and double set to pi equal to 3 point this number. Okay, this is ways how to define numbers, and this is for characters. So for characters, use char. Okay, for instance, char name equal to name here, like this. So this is how to define a characters or a string. You have to pass char and then pass the name here. Okay, inside the quotes. And also you could define char if you have, for instance, this letter is too long or has multiple lines. You could do char, then name, then pass, for instance, 20 characters and set it equal to full name here. Okay, so this should be 20 characters or smaller. If it's past the 20 characters, and not going to print and add semicolon at the end. So this is how to define variables in C language. Let us get to know data type in C language. Okay, like create another file called data type.c. Again, here start with the syntax like this. You need to type it manually. I have just to type code and then hit enter. This is a shortcut on Visual Studio Code, but you just type it manually. With time you're gonna know all of this. So data type in C. So there is a lot of things you have to know. So like D, it is a format specifier for the integer. Okay, to call an integer, you have to remember this D. We're gonna give you an example to this to understand it. Okay, let me do like a comment multi lines. Then inside of here, I'm gonna do format specifier and here I'm gonna do the data type. Okay, so in this part for integers you could use module D or module E. So this is for integers, and for the float numbers, float you could use let me go here. For float you use module F. Okay, and for doubles we use LF for the doubles, and for char characters we use C, and for strings we use S. So S used for strings. Okay, this is the format specifier and this is the data type. I'll give you an example. For instance, let me print here, or let us first define all the things here. So I'll start with int. I'll say age equal to 2022 for instance. Okay, and let me do another like point 2.2, and this is a float. Another one for the double, I'll say pi equal to 3 point whatever. Okay, and let us use another char. I'll say name equal to name, another char called name but past 10 for instance, or 30, and then set it equal full name here. Okay, so this is the defining all of this data type. Now we're gonna print into the terminal to see how to use this format specifier. So I'll pass name age, then I pass the D, the format specifier for int, and out of that let me do a new comment. So this is how to do a new comment. Okay, in a new line, I'm sorry, to do a new line in C, you have to do slash then n, and here you have to pass the name of this format specifier. So this is the age, so you have to pass here age. Okay, The same thing for float. We're gonna here float, we have point, so I'm gonna type point, and here let me say point, and the format specifier, it is f, so I'm gonna pass f. For double lf, so I'll say here pi, here is pi, like this. And for name, it is just a character, I'm gonna pass c, and then name. The same thing here, let me see names for instance, or full name, and here full name, like this. So this is a string, we're gonna pass the s format specifier for the string, it is s. Now let me first change here name to name before run the code. Name, and here let me say full name. Okay, but this character c is gonna happen in error, so let me first print this, then I'm gonna explain the error why. So when I run this, something has been happened, so make integer from pointer without a cast. So initializing of char from char pointer, so whatever, a lot of stuff here, I don't know, but the other things is printed well, as you see. And for point here, for float, it prints 2.2, then a rest of zeros. So how to get off of these zeros? All you have to do, just print, type here .2 is gonna print on the terminal 2 integers behind the point, the comma or the point. Okay, so if I run it again, as you see, those zeros are gone. Now for name, this is a character, so you have in here is going to print only one character at a time. So let me for instance print character 0, and let me here add this. Okay, so if I run it now, it's going to print the character at a position 0, and it is n, as you see here. For instance, there is let me print the m, so I have here to type 2. So let me run it again. As you see now, it's printed m instead of n. So this is characters, because it's gonna only print one character at a time, but the string is gonna print the entire string as full name is here. I hope you get the idea. Let us now move on. Constants in C. So, constant in C, to define a constant, for instance, I have the age, int age equal to 2020. Then I want this age to be always 2020, not able to change later. I already have add const like this at the beginning. So this basically will never be changed, okay? So age will never change again, or will be always always be 2020. Okay, never going to change. The 2020 age value never going to change. Even if you want to update this, so age I want to pass it here to 25, it's gonna sign an error. Okay, if you print here for instance age, let me say age, and use the format specifier for the integers, and it is d, then pass here age. As you see here, there is an underline with the red, that means you cannot reassign the age value. So if I run it, it's gonna say there is something wrong here, assignment of read-only variables. So this is age, so this is what we're gonna print. So let me do it here. So read-only variables age is gonna only read this variable. So the best use of constants, it is years. To use this for instance for years, so year like 20, 2000, and or 1000 year, this year will never change, always gonna be the same. So the better use is just to use a constant with the numbers or the things that you never going to chat it again. Okay, so let me leave it like this. So this is how to use constants in C. Operators. Now we're going to get to know the operators. So those are the operators, the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modules, and increment and decrement. So to get to use them, I'm gonna do an example here. So let me define two numbers, a and b, for instance. I'll give a value of 1 and b value of 3, for instance. Okay, so let me copy those. I'm gonna pass them like this. I'm gonna put the semicolon and resave them. So the addition, subtraction, and multiplication, I'm gonna define them as integers. And for the division, I'm gonna type it as a float or a double, whatever. And module also as a float or a double. And increment for integer, and decrement also as integer. Okay, so increment I'm gonna say equal to a plus plus and b, and decrement I'm gonna set b to minus minus. Okay, so basically let me explain from the start. So the addition is clear, a plus b, and the subtraction is also clear, for instance b minus a. The multiplication also clear, b multiplied by b, or 1 multiplied by 3. Division, for instance, I'm gonna say b subtracted by 1 or by a. Let me here change this to 2, better. And for module also the same, I'll say for instance b modular a. And for increment, a is gonna add a 1 to it. So this symbol a plus plus, so this symbol basically like you type in a plus 1. And for subtraction the same, like typing b minus 1. So this is like a shortcut when you add double addition or double subtraction. So I'm gonna print this on the terminal like this. I'm gonna say new line, and I'm gonna pass here the addition, for instance, and here say addition, or say a plus b, and there b minus a, b. This is subtraction, multiplication, division, and module, and increment, and then decrement. So here, like you say, a minus b minus minus, and here a plus 1, and here let me say minus 1, module b modular this 4. So it should be like you adding something. So let me say modules, and here division be on a, multiplication and subtraction. I think everything clear like this. So for increment and decrement, better to type here a plus plus, and here let's say type b minus minus. So let me run the code now. So this is here something wrong, so minus like this. So let me run this code and see what happened. As you see, it's not typing the equation equal, I'm sorry. So equal format specifier, but remember module and division we use the float like this. So let me run it. As you see now, a plus b, b minus a, and the rest of the equations. So this is how to use operators in C language. Input and output in C language. How to input integers, how to get from the user a number or a characters or whatever. So first, for instance, let me define like age, okay, and define char for a name and set it like 20 characters. And then I'm gonna print enter name, enter your name, and to input, so this is the output. To output something, all you have to do just print f, then output that thing, and we've already do a lot of things like in format specifier or in data type. We use printf a lot up to now. Now the input, it is to scanf, use the scanf function, then pass the parentheses. After that, the curly the double quote. Inside the double quote, you need to specify the format of the data type that you want to get. For instance, I want to get the name, so I'm gonna pass s because I want string, and name is gonna be a string, okay? And then I'm gonna pass a comma, then this symbol and or the address, this is the address, and pass the name of the value that we or the type that we defined here. So name, so we're gonna pass here name, okay? This is the way. And the same thing for age. We're gonna print f, enter your age, like this, space, then scanf, then pass the format specifier of the integer, and it is d. Then again the symbol and to address the value, so and pass the name of the age, okay, like this. Now we could print a message like your name is, then pass the format specifier for a string, and you are, for instance, age, pass also the format specifier for age, and the string we have name, so we're gonna pass name first. Then in D we have age, so we're gonna pass again age here. Then at the end add semicolons. So let me make this a bit smaller, like this. So let me run this code. So enter your name, I'm gonna say Muhammad, and age I'm gonna say 22, and your name is Muhammad and you are 22 years old. So this is basically how to input, how to output something, and this is how to input something. This is for a string, for inputting or getting a string, gets how to get, or let me do for string, okay, and here for integers or numbers or whatever. We're gonna deep more in this when we jump to arrays, but now let us just like give an overview over the things, how it work. So let me now show you other things, how let me now show you how to get a sequence of characters, okay? So let me comment all of this out. So let me add another comment here, like this. So we going now to, let me also include this. Okay. Forget this part of the code. We don't need it. Let me like do this, and okay, now we're going to start coding how to get a sequence of characters. Okay, this is two ways. I'm gonna show you two ways. So this is first way or method way, whatever. Method 1. Okay, I'm gonna define char and name it string 1 or just string. I'm gonna pass here the length. I'm gonna say 20 characters for instance. Then I'll pass scanf function, double quotes, and I'll add the symbol of module. Then I'm gonna do the square bracket. Okay, after the square bracket I'm gonna add this symbol and /n. Okay, then I'll go to the right and add the address of the string like this. Okay, now I have the right to print that string by passing the s format specifier for string and pass the string name or that we defined str. Okay, so let me print like a message, enter string like this. Okay, let me run the code again. Enter string, I'll say world, pass print me world. So let me run and add more than one word and see what happened, like hello world. World is gonna print for me hello world. What about if we added here multiple letters, like not only hello world, like more words. So hello you to coding with Muhammad. So hello you to coding with Muhammad. So these letters. So as you see, this is the first way or the first method. The second method is method number 2. The same thing, we need to define char. Let me say text and also pass how many strings, how many characters, or just defined like 20, whatever, and use the get s function, get string. Inside this get string you need to pass this text. Okay, you pass text like this. After that you need to print also the s and pass the text here. Okay, this is another way. Let me here also print enter text. Okay, and pass new line like this. Let me comment this out. Comment the method number 1. Let me run the code again, or first let me clear everything and rerun it. Enter text. Let me, for instance, I'll say the world is a cool place without people like this, and it's print for me. Let me say here text you entered text like this. So let me run it. Let me enter anything, like a lot of letters. As you see, text is here, it is the text. So this is 2 methods to get a sequence of characters or letters or whatever. Let's move on now to another stuff. If-else statements in C language. So how to do it? So first of all, let me give you an example to understand if and else statements. So int, let me define 2 numbers like a then b, and each one of those I'm gonna give you a value. Like a, I'm gonna give you a value of 1, and b, I'm gonna give you a value of 2. Okay, inside of here I'm gonna set if. So if, then pass the parenthesis, and here pass the condition. Okay, here condition. Okay, this is condition 1, and there is another type, like type in else if, and here pass the condition 2, condition 2, and here condition 1. Okay, and finally, if none of those conditions are correct, and here pass the code, so do something, here do something, and here also do something, and finally, if none of those are correct, do else, then do something. So this is how the if and else statement works. So let me give me example of those numbers. So if a greater than b, print me a message says, print a message that says a is greater than b. Okay, print new line. So the same thing for another condition here, condition 2, if b is the greater, not a. Okay, what you're gonna do, you're gonna print me this message, but you're gonna say that b is the greater, not e, like this. And finally, if none of those conditions are correct, I need you to do another code or another thing. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna print me here that a is equal to b. So if none of those are correct, and none of those conditions, two conditions up here correct, you're gonna do me the third one, and it is else. Okay, let me run this code. So it's gonna print for me b is greater than a in this case, but if it 3 is a is greater, it's gonna jump to this condition and do the code inside this condition. Okay, a is greater than b. Let me rerun it. As you see here, a is greater than b. And the third condition, if they are equal, so let me say 3. If I run it, it's going to say a is equal to b. So this is if and else statements in C language. Now we're going to get to know switch cases in C language. So to understand more how switch works, we'd better to give you an example. So let me go int and do choice. Okay, I'm gonna print if choice is, and then get it from the user, scanf, then pass the integer, then this, and pass the choice like this. Before I'm going to do this, I'm gonna print here something like click on 1 to display numbers or to display number 1111. Okay, new line like this, and click on 2 to display 2222, click on 3 to display 333, and if you want to add another conditions, there is no problem, so 1 and 3. Okay, now the switch case is like an if statements. If choice equal to 1, do something. If C or if choice equal to 2, display this number. If choice equal to 3, do this. So it's like typing if choice equal to 1, exactly equal to 1, and do print 1 1 1 1 1, print this, okay. And if it's not, so that means equal to, print me 2 2 2 2, like this. And if it's 3, print 5 of 3s, 3 3 3. So as you see, if a lot of time we're repeating if, and simultaneously we're repeating the choice equal 1, choice equal 2, choice equal 3. This switch case is do the same thing as if statement does, but in a better way. I'll show you how. So we're gonna do switch like this, and the expression here I'm gonna pass switch, and here the case if switch equal 1, print this, print 1 1 1 1, okay. So this is the case. The same thing for case number 2. So 2, I'm gonna pass this, I'm gonna pass 2 2 2 2, then break, okay. Let me delete this. Okay, case number 3. And the default, if none of the choices, if the user not entered 1 or 3 or 2, entered another number, not of those 3 numbers, you're gonna print this number not found, for instance, not found, like this. So let me run the code. So click 1 to display number 1. Here it is. It's gonna display number 1. If I 2, it's gonna display this. 3 is gonna display this. For instance, I defined, I typed any number. It's gonna say to me this number not found. So this is how to use switch case in C language. While loops in C language. How to do that? Let me define int a number x and set it equal to 7. After this, I'm gonna do the while loop like this. As you see, inside the parentheses, we're gonna pass the condition. So while x is smaller than 10, premium message says this is a loop. Okay, and then increment the x while it's smaller than the 10. Let me run the code. As you see, it print me this. So there is another while loop, and it is do while loop. So do while loop. We're gonna pass this. We're gonna pass the code. Then we're gonna pass the condition. Let me say y instead of the condition y smaller than 10, and I'm gonna define here int y equal to 3 or 2, whatever. So the difference between while and do while loop, that's in while loop is gonna, the code is gonna look at the condition first, then apply the code. But in do while loop is gonna apply the code, then look at the condition. Okay, let me run it. Let me here add like a spaces to separate the loops. Exactly like this. So let me clear this and rerun it. Here we are. This is for while loop and this is for do while loop. For the loop. For the loop actually are the same as while loop, but it has a different. So you have to pass a for, then here pass the type e and define the e, it is an integer, okay, or you could define it next to it, whatever you want, and set the I or the starting point. This is the starting point, 0, whatever you want to set it, okay. And this is the count. The code or the loop is gonna end at this condition. So the condition 1, the starting point, the condition 2, it is the ending point, and this is the incrementation or decrementation by 1, and you could do it by 2 or by 3, whatever you want. Like by 2, each time it's gonna add 2, and each time it's gonna add 3, or add only 1 at a time. And the count you can set it to, for instance, 10. And here the code. So let me print this is message number, and then pass the format specifier for integers and pass the I, okay. So let me add here a new comment first and run the code. So it's gonna print from the 0 up to 9, okay. And if you want to print up to number 10, you have to add here equal. Why? Because the loop is gonna start from point number 0 up to the number 10. But if you do smaller, absolutely smaller than 10, is gonna end up to 9, okay. And you could add like the loop starts from 5 and end at 10 or 9, okay. Let me clear this and rerun it. As you see, 5 up to 9. Or you could reduce the count, or you could do here, for instance, and the count is gonna start from 10 up to 0, or let me do 5 up to 0 while greater. Decrement, okay, is gonna now print from 5 up to until 1. So this is how to do decrementation. Or if you could do reduce it by 1, by 2, like this, is gonna, as you see, 3, 5, 1. And the same thing for incrementing, like this. And here's return 10, 5, and here the incrementing, like this. Let me run it. As you see now, 5, 7, 9. Or let me reduce from 1 and pass incrementing by 5. It's gonna print only 2 messages, 1 and 6, and so on. So this is how, or let me start from 0. Again, let me run it. Again, 0 and 5. So this is how to do the for loop. Now we're going to get to know break and continue. First, let me give you an examples. I always choose to give examples instead of talking a lot. So let me define here int, and you're going to see how break on continue works, or anything how it works with examples, not by talking a lot. So let me create I0 and then run a for loop, okay, and let it run up to 5, for instance, okay. And here we're going to print or do a condition. If I is equal exactly to 3, I need you to break, okay. I need you to break and print me a message and get out of the break, or get out of the loop, and print the integer e. Like this. So let me run the code. So print me print for me 0, 1, 2. For continue, the same thing we're gonna do. In this case, we're gonna do another letter. Instead of G, E, I'm gonna do G, like this. And here is gonna be continue. Let me run it again. Let me do here like 2 messages. So this is break and this is continue. Let me run. First let me clear this, rerun the program. So for this is break, it's still counting until it reaches to number 3, equal to 3. After that, break and print e. So when it reaches to 3, or when it reached to 3, it's broke out of the loop, as you see here. But in continue, it's not going to print 3, but it is keep continuing or printing the letters, the numbers up to number 4. As I said, always the count starts from 0, and here is if you want to print number 5, you had to add equal. Okay, so let me run it again. As you see now, stopped up to 3, and here stopped at 3, remove 3, and then continue printing the other numbers. So this is break and continue. Up to now we discussed a lot about C language, and we've done a lot of things and we understand them. Now we're gonna jump to arrays. So better think I'm gonna create a folder and call it arrays. Inside this folder I'm gonna create 2 folders. One folder for integers, and the second folder for strings, because we're gonna explain the integers in details, and strings also we're gonna explain them in details. So inside the integers we're gonna say how to define or how to declaring and initializing array variables, and how to do the input and output, and do some examples and how to calculate the size of an array elements, and also gonna do some examples like sum and product of an array, and also find the maximum and the minimum numbers in the array to get more about arrays and understand them how they work. Okay, so let us first start with integers, then we're going to jump to strings. In integers, I'm going to find a folder, a file, and I say declaring, or let it just say basics. Here we're going to discuss all the basics about arrays, especially in that gather the integers numbers. Okay, I'm gonna import now 2 libraries, just leave them here. I input and output library and standard library. Okay, inside of the main function, to declare or initialize an array variables, you have to pass int as soon as we using here arrays in integers. Okay, remember that I'm using here integers, not strings, integers. That's what I defined here, an array with int, and pass the name of the array. Let me say call it array, and then pass the square bracket, and then set it equal, open this marks, I don't know, I forget their name, curly bracket as I think, and here we pass the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and separate them with a comma. So this number 1 is separated with the number 2, and they separated with a comma. Okay, so this is how to define and declaring and initializing an array of elements, or array of integers. Okay, so now here how to print this out. Before we're going to print this out, I'm going to show you how to get them. Like here we define them manually. We typed manually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But how to define them, how to get them from the user. Before we're going to say how to get them from the user, I want you to know how to calculate the size of those elements. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically it is 4 elements, but if imagine with me we have more than 100 elements, how could you count them manually? It's quite hard, right? So to count them using a size of function. So you type size, defined to calculate the size, like passing here 5 elements. We're going to let the computer or the program using some functions to calculate the size of elements here. Okay, so we're going to use size of function. Pass size of, pass the array name, then divider on the size of the array at any position, but I'm gonna choose only position 0. So this is how to calculate the size. To check it, I'm gonna print size of the array equal to format specifier for integers, then size. Let me print this on the terminal, and as you see here, 5. And also if we increment the numbers here like this, it's gonna give me the number of elements without counting them manually. Okay, so this is a better way. Now let us jump to input and output. So let me comment this out by doing here basics, or let me do declaring and initializing see, array variables like this. Let me comment this out. Okay, now as I said, input and output. First we're going to jump to know the input. So input, let me define, as I said here, array of elements. I'm gonna say, like, before defining the array we need to define the size and get the size from the user in this case. So size, I'm gonna here pass integer array, and this array is gonna take the size, and then we're gonna print enter size of the array, or in other words, enter how many elements you want to insert in the array, like this. Before printing this message, I'd rather to get this size first, like this, then scan d format specifier for integers, like this. So now we've got the size. So this is, let me comment this, make it as a comment, better here, and here let us just say size and do this. Okay, then array, and array, it is multiple elements inside of it. So the better thing to use, or the things that we're going to use to get those elements, we need a loop. Okay, so here we're going to create a for loop from the integer I, or let us just say define also I here as an integer, up to the count, and count to define it as size. Okay, and we need to get the elements, so we're gonna scan them with D and do this address and pass here the array at E position. Okay, so this is the way how to get elements to the array, how to insert elements to the array. To print them out, or on the terminal, use the same function or the same steps, but in this case, instead of printing scanning if, I'm gonna do the printf and remove this and here I say elements. I'll do. So this is the way how to print the element that we get from the user, okay? So this is how to scan them, and this is how to print them. So if I run the code, I'm gonna get the size. Let me say 5 elements, for instance. Size 5, and here let me change this to G. Okay, like this, and print them in the terminal. Let me run it again. Let me say 5 elements. Something wrong has been happening. Yep, because we didn't pass the end symbol to the address. So let me run it again. 5. Now we need to insert the elements. So I'll say 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Click, and here they print for me the addresses of the positions, okay, and all of them are at the same place. But how to do that? No, I'm sorry. Here we should change I to G to get the right result. I'm sorry. So 5, and here let me 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and as you see here, element 2, element 4, element 6, element 8, element 10. So this is the way to get elements. So input, and this is the output. So I hope you get it well. I hope you understand it and get it well. This is to get the element using the for loop, and this is to print the element on the terminal using the printf function. So let me say if I remove this and run the entire code, what's gonna happen? Size, yep, because size defined 2 times. I'm gonna say this is size 2, and size 2. Whatever size is, I'm gonna change it to size 2, and here I'm gonna add a new line. Let me run it again. And the same thing for array. I need to change it to array 2. Run. So size, as you see here, size of the first array, it is 5. Then print the size, I'm gonna say 3. I'm gonna insert here the element. I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, and the element is printed in the terminal. So this is how to get elements, and how to calculate the size of an array, and also how to get the size of the secondary array, and how to get the array from the user or insert it manually, and here how to print it on the terminal. Up to now, I think that we understand the basics of arrays in using integers, of course. So now I think that we're gonna jump to examples to understand more arrays. Alright, the first example is gonna be about the sum and the product of the array. Sum product.c. Okay? Again, we're gonna pass code and type this manually in your file.c, and here we're gonna define 2 integers, sum, set it equal to 0, and then int product, and set it equal to 1. I'd rather actually to define them in one line to make that a bit shorter, like this. Again, we're gonna define an array of elements. I'm gonna set it equal to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm gonna count the size of it by doing size of, and pass here the name of the array, then divide on size of the array at position 0. Then I'm gonna create a for loop from int I0 up to the size. Then I'm gonna count the sum of numbers in this array, and also I'm gonna count the product of all the numbers in this array. So I'm gonna say sum equal to array at e. The same thing for product, but the different here, we're gonna add the name of product, and add the symbol of production, or the operator of multiplication. Then we're gonna print in the terminal sum equal new line, then pass the name sum, and the same here, product. I'm gonna pass here product, exactly like this. So if I run the code now, the sum of the elements of the array is 50, and the product of the element in 120. So this is the first example, is to do the sum of element in the array, and also how to do the product of the elements in the array. Well, now we're gonna jump to another example, and it is to find the max and the minimum number in the array. Okay, now I created a file min.max.c to find the minimum maximum numbers in the array. Again, I'm gonna define an integer with an array element. I'm gonna define a, then I set it equal to like 200 and 100 and whatever, minus this number, whatever. Then I'm gonna pass the size, do the size function, array divider on size of array at 0, like this. So the first condition, if the min, before that I'm gonna define two integers, the max and the min. I'm gonna set them both equal to 0, like this. So the first condition, if the size equal exactly to 1, that means that the list has only one number. If it has only one number, I'm gonna print, or I'm gonna take min equal to max equal to the array at that position 0 as soon as there is only one number in the list. The second condition, if array at position 0 is greater than the array at position 1, that means that the list, or that the array has only two elements, okay, like have these two elements, not more. If so, max becomes the array at 0, and the min takes the number that exists at the position 1, okay? Else, what's gonna happen, we're gonna switch this. The min is gonna take position 0, and here the max, okay? I think this clear. This condition, if the list has only one number, and this condition, if the list has only two numbers. Now what we're gonna do for the rest of the array, if it's not contains one or two elements, it contains more than two elements. So that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna create a for loop starting from 2 up to the size, and check if the array at e greater than the max. If so, the max is gonna equal, or gonna take, is going to take the array at E, like this. If else, or else if a smaller, let me remove this, smaller than the min, like this. What's the min is gonna take that, exactly like that. After that, all you have to do, print maximum, max equal to, pass the integer, do the max, and the same thing for the min. Like this. So let me run the code and see. So the greater number, it is 2125, and the smallest number, it is -4, and this 452. So let me say here, if I enter something greater like 3000 and something more smaller like -500. Okay, let me run it again. Again, the numbers has been updated. So this is how to find the max number and the min number in the arrays of integers. Okay. Now we completed with the integers, array of integers. Now we're gonna move on to strings. Okay. Again, we're gonna create another file and call it basics. Basics.c. Let me close this. Again, the syntax as always. And here we need to define and declare and initialize this string of letters of variables. Okay, so to define this an array of characters, we need to pass char, then pass the name of the array, then pass this, then pass here like 20 characters for each letter, then pass say equal to, and here pass the curly brackets, only one bracket, it doesn't matter, like this. So I say here, I love her so much, like this. So this is how to define and declare array of string variables. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you how to print them on the terminal, or before I'm gonna show you how to print them, the output of them, I'd like to show you how to get them, but I'm gonna show you how to input this list. Okay, so again, I'm gonna create a for loop, then define the int up to the size, and the size in this case is gonna be equal size equal to 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, and inside of here I'm gonna use the printf function. So printf function, and here I'm gonna pass the string, I'm gonna add them like a space, then I'll pass here the array at E, exactly like this. So let me run the code. This sent me something wrong, and that's because I don't know, 20, let me see here, like 3. Let me run it again. Like I have to add here double quotes. So I love her so much. Let me see now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me see now. Run the code. So I love her so much. It has been printed. So let me retype it. Here it is. I love her so much. So this is how to print an array of elements. Now I'm gonna show you how to get this array of strings. Let me comment this out. And here I'm gonna define again an integer size. I'm gonna set it equal to nothing. Then I'll do scanf integer. Integer. And here the address size. Okay. Here print size equal to. And then I'm gonna define the characters. Char array. Again, I'm gonna pass the size here. And now I'm gonna say print enter, for instance, list of names. Enter names, or the names. Like this. And this is array, I think, because we defined it up here. That's the problem. Or let me say here 20 characters, but here I'm gonna pass the size. Okay. And here I'm gonna create a for loop. I'm gonna define also this as an int. And here the size. Inside of here the code, I'm gonna scan the strings. Okay, then I pass the address array at e. Okay, so this is how to get them. I'm gonna print new line each time we enter a string. After that, I'm gonna print this on the terminal using the same function up there. Here it is. I'm gonna just like this. Now I should run the code, and I hope everything worked well. So enter the size. I'm gonna say 3. Names. I'm gonna say name 1, name, then name 3, and then something. So as you see here, name 1, name, and then name 3. Okay. So this is how to get array of strings and how to print them. Now we are going to explain the strings handling functions. Okay, so inside the strings, I'm gonna find another folder. I'm gonna say here functions or handling functions, funcs like this .c. Inside this, I'm gonna start with functions like strcat .c. This is a function strcat.c. So let me rename it and add parentheses at the end just to be known as a function. So this function, let me here start the code. So this function strcat, it used to concatenate and combine two strings. Okay, let me here explain that by doing examples, right? So I'm gonna find char of string 1, and then I'm gonna set it equal to hello. Then string 2, I'm gonna say here world, and then I'm gonna say string 3, I'm gonna define to new world like this. So this is gonna be string 2 or 2, and this is gonna be string 3. So we have here 3 strings, okay? So the string 1, I'm gonna say strcat, and as you see when I type here strcat, a letter underscore has been shown, right? I have here to import another library called strings, okay, like this, strings that h. Now we have the right to use this function strcat. So strcat, inside of it, it has 2 parameters. I'm gonna say string 1 and string 2, and then we're gonna put string 1, put c string 1 like this. So if I type this, if I run the code now, let me clear this, string 1, string 2, put string 1, and we use the string function. I think that everything is right. Let me run it again. In line 1, char strcat.c gcc, something wrong. I think that I need to rename this like this. Let me run it again. Okay, hello world. As you see, the string 1 has been combined with the string 2 and print for us hello world. Instead of printing only hello, it's printed hello world after using this function that combines 2 strings, okay? Let me add here strcat, which in this case I'm gonna add to string number 1, string number 3, and then put string number 1, or print it. So hello world to new world. So this is the string 1, string 2, string 3, but strcat function added the string 2 to string 1, then added the string 3 to the string 1, then printed on the terminal, as you see here. So this is how to use the strcat function. Strlen function. So strlen function, how to use it. Okay, the strlen, it's used to show the length of the string. I'll give you an example. For instance, I'll say char name, and then I'm going to set it equal to my name is Muhammad, okay? Then here I'm gonna do int size equal to string len, then I pass here the name as a parameter, then I'm gonna print size of the string equal to then size. If I print, it's gonna give me the size of these letters, or how many letters here. It is 21, including the spaces and this mark here, okay? So this is how to use the strlen function. String reverse function, or strrev. It's used to show the reverse of a string. Well, I'm give you an example of that. Let me say char word. I'm gonna say live, okay? Then if I type strrev reverse, then I pass the word here, then I print it on the terminal to see what has been this function does or done for us. I'm gonna say live, because we typed live, right? String, and then I'm gonna pass the word here. So I typed here live. So basically here, after passing the word here, is gonna give me in reverse order. So live equal evil, as you see here, is give me in reverse order. string copy function. It copies one string to another. Okay, let me show you how. Let me define. Let me say here, for instance, the same example I took it from the previous. I'm gonna say here string copy like this. I'm gonna inside of type in here live, I'm gonna pass in a evil, okay, or live, I'm gonna say love for instance. Okay, let me run it again. It's going to give me live. It becomes equal to love. So this is string copy, like copy love to this string and remove the previous variable or value. Like live, it becomes love instead of live. String compare. It used to compare two strings. So this is the same example from the previous example of strlen or string copy. So now I'm going to use string compare like this. I'm going to compare these two words, but the better way to understand how this string compare works, I'm going to do an if statement. I'm going to do now string compare to the word and to live or to love, for instance. I'm gonna compare love with live. If it equal exactly -1, print words not the same. Okay, print if words not the same, else print the same message but say words are the same. So let me clear everything. So let me run it now. So the words not the same, cause love it's not equal to word or equal to live. But if I passed here live and then run the code, it's gonna say to me words are the same. So this is the this string compare function, how it works. So there is here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 functions we've got to know. I hope you understand them, how they works, and also for the basics of strings and integers and all of that. Let us now move on to something else. After recapitulating all the basics of the C language, so far we've seen the break and continue, comment, constants, data type, for loops, and if else, input output, operators, switch, and syntax of C language. So basically this is just randomly here, and variables, while loops, and we've seen arrays, or we've seen about arrays in both types, integers and strings. So inside of the integers we've seen the basics. Then we had given 2 examples to find the min and max number, and also to do the sum of the product of an array of elements. And also we've seen the strings, and we've done a basics to cover all the most important information about the strings with arrays. Then we covered some most used functions in strings like strcat, string compare, string copy, strlen, and strrev. Up to now we covered a lot, and we reached to the point, or we reached to the hard point basically, or not the hard point but the confusing point. And this part, it is gonna be about the pointers. So the pointers are so confusing, but don't worry, I'm going to do my best to explain them. So inside the basic C lang, I'm gonna create another folder. I call it pointers. Okay. Inside the pointers, I'm gonna just create like code.c to separate the stuff, and type the syntax. So this is the syntax, doesn't matter this libraries here that I'm calling. By the way, if you want just to do like me, just type code and then as you see here, print to the console, print me this syntax or this boilerplate. How to do that? Go to File, then choose Preferences. That there is something here called, as you see, Configure User Snippets. Click on it, then choose the language, is c.json. Inside c.json, you probably, if you the first time open this file, you're going to find it like this. Okay, how to remove all of this comment? Just select all this part after the example. Do not select the example. After the example, then click on Control, then slash on your keyboard, and all the double slash or double single comment is going to remove from your c.json file. And then here type the word that you want. Like if I type here C, I'm in the file.c that has the extension .c, I'm gonna just type C and it's gonna give me this boilerplate. And the boilerplate or the syntax, it is inside of the body. So inside the body, you're gonna set the code that you want inside of double quotes and add comma at the end. Okay, I leave it here with the code like this, and you could edit that on your Visual Studio Code. And you're gonna probably find more in my channel explaining shortcuts about Visual Studio Code, so it doesn't matter now. So this libraries, it doesn't matter. This is the standard library for input and output. This is the console input and output, and this is standard library, and this is the string library. Already we've seen it, and this is the math library that contains all the operations such as cosinus and sine on tangents and a lot of other operations like square root and the absolute value and other functions. But I'm just importing them. You could remove them, like I'm gonna remove them now. I'm gonna just keep two libraries, the input and output and the standard library. Okay, so before we're gonna start, what are the pointers? Okay, what are the pointers? So a pointer is, or the pointers are a variable like reference that holds a memory address to another variable, array, and etc. Okay, and some tasks are performed more easily with pointers. Okay, so this is about pointers. But what is the advantage of pointers? Well, we use pointers. So pointers use less time in program execution, and it helps us to work, or it's working with on the original variable. With the help, of course, of the pointers, we can create data structures such as linked lists and stacks and queues and etc. And the pointers returning, we could with the pointer return more than one value from function, and also searching and sorting large data type is going to be more easily with the pointers, or very easily with the pointers. And also dynamically memory allocation, we need to use pointers. For data structures like such as linked list and stacks, queues, all of that we're gonna do it on my channel. Up to now I didn't create any video on that, but I'm going to work on it as soon as you're probably gonna find it with this video. If you didn't find it, just be sure that I'm working on them. And for dynamically memory allocation, also we're gonna create a video cover all that stuff that you really need to know. I'm just gonna give you the most important information. I'm not going just to throw you, or I'm not going to give you all not important information just repeat all the time. I'm gonna give you the most, or I'm gonna give you the gold. Okay, so to understand more about pointers, I'm gonna give you an example. Like, we're gonna work with a program or something. First, let me define something like pointer to know how these pointers actually work. Now I'm gonna define like an array. Now I'm gonna define an array, okay? Array, and I'll set it to like some integers here. I'm gonna pass some values to use them. So inside the array here, I'm gonna like pass 13, 14, 35, just random numbers, 7, 5, 7, like 68 and 79 for instance, and 19. Let's add 19 1. Okay, so to use pointers, the first step you have to define, you have to know what the type you're gonna pass. So in this case we're gonna pass the array as a pointer, so we need to define an integer that's at the star, this letter star, I don't know its name, I don't remember. Okay, then pass the name of the pointer. I'm gonna just set it to p. Okay, then I'm gonna set the p equal to the array. Alright, now we could use the array as a pointer by just using p instead of the array. Let me give you some examples right here. So imagine I'm using p, pointer p, and then I'm gonna add 3 to it. So if I print this on the terminal, what the expected output is gonna be. So basically here, the first pointer to the array is gonna be here, then it's gonna add to that 3, so the output should be 16. Okay, so to print that on the terminal and see in real life, let's say printf, then format specifier, then pass this, and let me run the program. Let me move this terminal on the right just to have space to see the code on the left and the output on the right. As you see here, it print me 16. Okay, this is 16. Why? Because it's pointed to the is pointing to the array pointer. Okay, we use pointers, then we add 3 to it, so like catching the first value in the array and add to it 3. Let me imagine here, if I didn't put like this, if I put a inside of this, inside the bracket, okay, point all of this is a pointer. So what you're gonna do is gonna go to the pointer array and it's gonna add 3 values to it. So this is the 1, so it's gonna calculate 1 2 3, so this is the 3 value as a pointer. So the expected output here, it should be 46. Okay, why? Because we pointed the pointer or we used all the inside here as a pointer, so it's gonna start the pointer here and add 3 positions and up to reach to 46. So if I want to print this the same way, I'm gonna use printf function, format specifier for integers, and then pass this. So let me add like a new line here and also here. So in the first case, print me 1 6, and the second case 4 6 as we expected. If I let me see if I done this, is gonna be cool or not. Like this, I think better. Now it's clear as I think. Okay, so let me clear this here. Alright, let me show you something else. We could use the address of the pointer like this, pointing the address, and then cp, then add to it too. So this is the address of pointer behind the pointer p, and it is rarely when we use such as this syntax. Okay, so it doesn't matter. The same thing for array, we could just do array and then position 2. So this are the same. Okay, basically these are the same and they are rarely we need use. Let me get like comment it here. I'll say the address double D, I'm spelling here, of pointer behind the pointer p, pointer strcpy. Rarely when we use such as this, rarely used. Okay. Now let me see another one like address. I'm gonna say array f5. Then I'm gonna subtract. Let me go and subtract, for instance, 4. It is the same as you're going to say the address of array at 1. Okay, they are the same. These are the same. Okay, and also these are the address of the component array 1. So this is the address of the component array 1, and this is the address of the component array 2. Okay, let me type it here. Let's say, for instance, the address of, I'm gonna give you an example at the end to see, and to use more pointers it's better to say my course about data structures and programs on the at the end, or DNA, I don't remember, but I'm gonna create all of that in the soon future. Okay, the address of the components, component or the components of array 1. Okay, so this is the address of the component array 1. So let me print this on the terminal to see. So let's print the format specifier for the integer, pass it, set it equal to, and then pass here. Let me run it. As you see here, it just passed me the address. And also let me use like new line here. The same thing for this and this. So let me like print them all. As you see, it just printing for me the addresses, okay, the addresses of each value. So in this case, the same address. Let me separate them by adding more lines. In this case, I'm gonna do this. So separate them by, let me clear this and set everything to this. Let me add a new line here. Let me separate this and X, or just okay, if I run it, so let me here add the end line, and the same thing for here. I'll add another line. So in this case, it's just printing for me the addresses. Okay, so the address of the component at array 1, the same as typing 5 minus 4. Okay, and the same, the address of pointer plus 2, the same as pointer of the address at a position 2. Okay, and this is how to print the addresses of the pointer. Okay, let me like add you another example, the same example as here. I'm gonna just, instead of doing 1, I'm gonna do 4. Okay, I'm gonna say array. In this case, I'm not going to print this. I'm gonna say array plus 4. Okay, instead of minus 4, I'm gonna say array plus 4 without this symbol here, and the same here. I'm gonna just print 4. Okay, so let me recopy this to make it easy on you and also easy on me. Okay, so this is the address of the component array, what? Array 4. Why? Because we're using here 4. So if I run this program, so let me small size this a little bit, like this, better. So let me clear it. So this is the code, all of it. I hope you clear. Let me comment it at the top. I think it's better to make it clear and have more space, of course. And also for this, like this. So let me now run it like this. So as you see here, the same address component of array 4. So if I want to do something kind of the same as this, but I'm gonna, in this case, I'm gonna print, for instance, address of array at position 8, for instance, and let me like subtract the p in this case. Okay, what is gonna equal? So let me copy this from here and pass it here. Okay, so if I run it, it's gonna give me 8, and that because we've said the 8, it is the value of index, okay, of the index. Index is the 8, so like here printing the 8. So if you calculate 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, printing for me the index or the size of the array in this case. Okay, so let me like comment it here. I'm gonna say 8. I'll say here index or value. Let me add index 8. Better now. Now let me give you another examples about the pointers. This example is used a lot, and basically these examples right here we just using the addresses up to here, and this one is imported, these two ones, basically all of them are important, but when we jump to addresses we rarely when you use them, okay, but we use them. And you have to work with them also, and you're going to work with them with time. So I'm gonna give you now an example. I'm gonna say for instance, print me the address at the component, for instance, component array. Let me say component 3, for instance. Okay, let me do here p plus, open the bracket, and then the pointer p minus 10, and this is okay, this is the array at component 3. To see that on the terminal, I'm gonna also print new line. So let me add here 2 lines, and here pass it equal d new line, and of course here like this. So let me run it. So let me clear all of this to not me. Alright, so in this case it print me the address of the component at array 3. So the array 3, basically this is the array 3, 42, this one. Okay, and let me now do another example, like catching some variables using pointers from the array. So let me say pointer of p plus another pointers, for instance. Well, let's say p plus 8. Okay, better now, I don't know. Or let me add more stuff here. Before we're gonna add anything, let me say here what we've done. So this is using the pointers to the address. What if we want? So let me comment this out here. I'll leave it here. I'm gonna here add the same as we've done here. So to catch another the address, we could use the same as we used before, like this. So let me just copy this, but in this case we're using the component 3 at 3. Alright, so all I have to do just do 3 instead, the same as here. We remove this, and if we want to remove the address, the same. Okay, this is not the same actually, but if you run it, you're going to see that this is the same address as we've used before in the pointer. Okay, so let me clear and rerun it. Alright, so as you see, the same address, not different between these two addresses, and the value, as I said, it is 46. And let me jump now to continue our example. So we've said here, point all the this is all of it is a pointer. Then inside the pointer we point to p. Then we said another pointer of p plus 8. Then minus array at a position, for instance, let's see 7. Okay, so what the expected output here? So if we run the program, I'm gonna explain everything. Okay, just pay attention. If I run the program, this is gonna be equals format specifier and this. Okay, let me add here a new line, and also for here a new line. It's gonna print for me 14. Okay, it's gonna print 14. 14 here, it is 14. Let us switch it to another number like 24. Okay, if we clear this and 24. Okay, why it give us 24? Why? So let me give you here a comment, multi-lines comment, and explain exactly what happened in the background. Okay, so this is the output of it is 24. Let me type it here. Okay, let me now explain what happened at the background. So let me copy this and put it here. Okay, this equal to what? So bring for me this array at 7. So let me copy this again, go at the end, pass it. Alright, I don't need it all of it, I need just this. Now look for array at 7, what it equal. Let me go back to the array. I'll look for the position 7. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is equal to 19. So I'm gonna copy 19 and put it inside array at 7. Okay, now clear. So let me do another equal here, and the same here. We're gonna bring the pointer of p at plus 8. If you remember, at the beginning we said p plus 8 is gonna point from the beginning here 3, and then start counting up the position 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. The same thing for p plus 8. We're gonna start counting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 91, it is the number that equals to this pointer of p plus 8. So the same thing, I'm gonna do pointer, open the bracket, add the p, then plus, then pass the 91, then subtract the already exist number, and it is 90. So in this case, we could easily know that 91 minus 90, it is equal to 1. And now the same thing, p plus 1, you're gonna say 0, 1, and it is 24. And again, in this case, is gonna be equal 24, and the same result as we get here on the terminal. Okay, so this is what happened in the background, just calculating each part separately. For instance, if you want just to print only one pointer, so if you print p, it's gonna give me the first number in the array, and the first number in the array, in this case it is 13. so it's gonna print 13. You could check that. You could check that easily by just printing. So print f, and then put the format specifier and set it equal to new line like this. And here also let me add a new line. So if you run it, you're going to see something. Of course we didn't put the pointer p. So if you run it, you're going let me run it again. As you see, 13 at the first element, or the first element in the array. Up to now, I think the code here we covered a lot about pointers. This is all you have to know about pointers. To master pointers, you'll really have to work with programs that contains pointers to master them. And in this channel, under the will of God, I'm gonna do my best to explain them or to add videos about the pointers and cover all of that. So now, after ending with the code, I'm gonna remove it from here, and I'll give you a little example in the pointers. So I'm gonna create a function or another file called swap.c. Okay, again, add the code, the syntax, remove these other libraries, I don't need them. And here I'm gonna define, for instance, in the main function, I'm gonna define two integers, for instance a, and I'm going to set it to 4, and also b, I'm gonna set it to 8. Okay, I'm gonna swap these two numbers, a with the b. I set a equal to 8 and the position b equal to 4. So I'm gonna create a function called swap. Okay, and inside this function I'm gonna give it two parameters by the addresses a and the address of b, and finally I'm gonna print here a becomes equal to something. I'll add new line, and let me add this, and b is gonna be this, but in this case it's gonna be a. Okay, printing a, printing b. Okay, basically if we print b should be b, and if we print a should be a. So this swap function, I'm just gonna at the top, I'm gonna go here at the top, I'm gonna define it here. Okay, I'm gonna pass it first, and I'm gonna say, for instance, void, like this. Inside of pointing by the addresses, we need just to define int, then add the pointers. We could rename them like x and y. Okay, and I'm gonna create a temporary value and set it equals to the pointer of a or the pointer of x, but let's just leave it with a and b, so that can make you confuse a lot. Inside of here, all we have to do, just pointer a, I'm gonna set it equal to pointer b, and finally pointer b, I'm gonna return it to the temp like this, So if I run, so basically let me clear this. So before the swap and after the swap, swap of course, and also here swap. Okay, I think now void swap int b int temporary cat value. Let me just check if everything is correct, and also here swap to by the addresses pointing int. Okay, I think everything is right. Let me rerun it. So as you see, at the first case, I think better to not print it like this. Print it using the T, and here also do not print it like that. Use the T, and here A and B, A and B. If I run the program, I should kind of print here in a line. Alright, let me clear this. This is the last step. Alright, so with the first case, before swapping anything, A is 4 and B is 8. After swapping using the pointers, A becomes 8 and B becomes 4. Up to now we covered a lot about pointers, and we give this little example. As I said, to master pointers you have to work a lot. You have to work with a lot of examples, and be sure you're going to understand the concept of pointers. By just watching this video, you are not going to be able to write codes with pointers by your own, but this is just an overview or an cover idea about the pointers. Up to now, I think this is what is the most important things you have to know about pointers. The last thing we've seen is pointers, and in the pointers we've seen how to do the swap using functions. So now is the time to explain the functions in C language. So again, I'm going to go to the basics folder and create another folder called functions. Inside the functions, I'm gonna just find like basics file, basics extensions of C at the boilerplate or the syntax. Let me remove this unneeded functions. Okay, save, and now we're going to start coding. So functions, in functions we've seen in the last example in pointers we use parameters. These are parameters. So in these functions, or this function swap, it has two parameters inside of it. The first parameter is the address of A, and the second one is the address of B. And here it is defined the int of the pointer A and the int of the pointer B as soon as they are integers. So the same thing is in the basics. Okay, so let me do an addition. So I'm gonna define int and call it addition. Okay, and addition, and let me create two numbers again, A and B. I'm gonna set A equal to 4 and B equal to 6, for instance. So the addition is gonna be equal to a function, okay, that returns for us the addition of A and B. So I'm gonna say sum, and this sum function, it has to have two parameters. The first parameter is A and the second parameter is B. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this function. I'm gonna go at the top before the driver program or the int main function, and I'm gonna pass it here. Okay, so the type, this function is going to return for us the sum of these two integers. Okay, so addition, we already defined it as an int, so this function is going to have the int. And remember that A and B are both integers, so we need to redefine them inside the function as integers. Okay, then we're gonna add the curly bracket like this. Here we could define, or we could just return A plus B like this. So now I'm gonna run the program. Actually nothing is gonna happen because we didn't print it. All I had to do just print, then we'll say A plus B equal to format specifier for an integer. Then here I'm gonna pass the addition. Okay, if I run it, it's gonna print for me 10. As you see, A plus B equal 10. We could add here multiplication by 2, so A plus 2 multiplied by B, and here I'm gonna do this.
quite easy, right? Again, I'm gonna run it. A plus 2 multiplied by b, it is 16, and that by 2 multiplied by b, and it is 12, and plus 4, it is 16. So these are parameters, and these are the type of the function, and this what we return, and this addition is get. We could instead of setting addition to sum, we could print right away without doing anything like this, print it here. So if you run it again, it's gonna give me the same. Okay, let me change here by 3 and here by 3. Again, run the program. As you see, it is 22. And there is another type, it is void. Okay, let me do like a comment for this one. I don't know, but let me make less lines, equal to 4, and here equal to 6. Let me remove this stuff, and also this one here, this one, or just leave it, doesn't matter. Okay, let me comment this out using multi lines, and here I'm gonna just use the single comment or single line comment using void. So let's see a function that print on the terminal hello. We are using functions, so I'm gonna say void. I'm gonna call it hello function. I'm gonna set no parameters inside of this function. I'm gonna print in this function hello, so print hello, I am a function of type void. Okay, like this. I'm gonna inside the main function just call the function like this, hello. I'm gonna just pass it here, easy. Now if I run this program, so as you see here, hello, I am a function of type void. So this is another type to use functions. And there is another thing in functions are recursion. So this is how to declare function and how to return something and how to pass the parameters. Now we're gonna see the recursion. Okay, so let me create another file here and pass recursion recursion.c. So let me delete this. As always, call the boiler, remove the unneeded libraries, save. And to understand the recursion functions, I'd rather give you an example. Okay, so let me inside the main function define a result as we've done before and set it equal to the sum of numbers from 0 up to 10. So this is a parameter we passing inside this sum function. After that, I'm gonna just print the sum by printing this and the result like this, and returning 0 at the end. So this sum function, I'm gonna go at the top. As soon as you see here, we pass to result and it is int. So this function is gonna has the tip or the type of int, integers, and pass the function, and we're just gonna define it up here. Instead of passing here the number 10, we could just pass int and do like number a value of k, okay, but this k is gonna take the number 10, just to be aware of that. Now I'm gonna take this function and go at the top. So here we already defined all the functions. Here I'm gonna type now my function, okay. It has the type of int key. So the recursion, if to print the sum up to k, I'll say if k greater than 0, okay, what you're gonna do me return k plus the sum of k minus 1. So basically the recursion is a function that calls itself, okay. So inside the sum function, so this is the recursion function. A recursion function is the function that calls itself. So here we're calling itself. Else, so in this case, if k greater than 0, what you're gonna do, you're gonna print k on the terminal. You're gonna return k plus the sum of the k minus 1. So in this case again, is gonna return the sum, and k minus 1 is gonna be here again. It's gonna be here k minus 1 until it reach to 0, and when you reach to 0, it's gonna stop the loop, okay. This is the recursion function, a function that calls itself. Else, otherwise, return 0, return 0. Sometimes for some programs, to play around with the recursion is really a headache, okay. So sometimes to get around a program to make it by recursion is kind of be hard, but other programs are more easily to performed with recursion, okay. So some programs are so hard to perform them in recursion, and some programs are more easily to perform them in recursion. So let me run now this program. So it's 55. So the sum from 0 up to 10, it is 55. So let me just put 5 here. So the expected output, it is 15. And let me say, for instance, 3, the addition of 3. So 1 plus 2, 3 plus 2, the expected output is 6. So as you see here, 6. So this is how to do recursion. A recursion is a function that calls itself, okay. So now we're going to see some math functions. So let me remove this execution file and add here math.c. In this case, as we're going to use the math functions, we're going to remove these two functions, but we're going to keep math.h, okay. We're going to keep the math.h library. Why? Because there is some functions inside of it we need them. So let me say here, give you like the functions. So there is something called the square root of a number. So square root we could just call square root CKRT and pass the number here. So the square root of 16. So let me, instead of do this, I'm gonna just print format specifier of float and new line and pass here the square root, and here I'm gonna just pass equal to, exactly like this. So if we let me run this program, clear, run it. So the square root of 16, it is 4. So let me use only two numbers after the point. So 4. Great. I'm the like printf math functions. Okay, So let me now do the cell function, another function also in math, cell function, and let's pass here a value of like 4 or 1.4 for instance. Okay, this is the cell function. And let's do another function like the floor function. Floor. Floor function. And like give it a value of, let's just leave it 1.4, not matter. And let it create another function called the power of a number. So power, just type POW, and this function actually has two parameters. Okay, so 4 power of 3. Okay, and let's print this on the terminal. So math functions, the square root of 16, it is 1, 4.4, and the cell of 1.4 it is 2, the floor of 1.4 it is 1. So basically the cell function and floor function are clear, as I think here. Just get it off of the point here. Here the cell function give us the max value, and the floor give us the min value. Okay, by getting off of the number that exists after the comma or the point. And the power function, it is 4 power of 3, it is 64. We could just change that to something like 4 power of 2, it is 16. So if we run this, as you see, 16. And there is other functions like the absolute value. If we want the same as here, let me just, I'll say ABC, absolute value of -4. Run it, is give me 0, or this return the absolute value of x. So basically -4 ABC. So let me go with just 4, leave it positive. I don't know, there is something wrong. The subtraction, as you see now, if the absolute value of -4 it is 4, if you make it here like 24 and run the program, is going to give me the absolute value, a positive number. If you makes 1 minus 24, is going to give me 23. So the absolute value. Now there is other function like the arc zone, arc scene. So let me type them here like a comment, or I'm gonna use the single comment. So there is a cos of a value x, and this basically return the arc zone, arc scene, arc cosine of x. Okay, and so the x should be like an integer x, and there is arc scene, arc scene instead of the cos. There's arc scene, the same as here, arc sine of x, and there is arc tone. So those are the math functions. Returns the arc tangent or arc tangent of x, and it is also the cube root function cbrt, and returns the cube root, and also there is the cosine and sine and all of that. So let me add them before after these functions. Again, let me add them here like this. Those are cosine, so cosine and the sine and tangent. Okay, and it is also the exponential, so xp, and these are, as I said, the exponents. Return the exponent exponent of x. I think this is the most important function that you have to know. So there is the square root, scale function, floor function, the power, the absolute, arc cosine, arc sine, arc tangent, and the cosine and sine and tangent, and cube root and exponent functions. After ending with functions, we're gonna jump to the structures. Structures is the last thing we're gonna see in this tutorial. So what is structures? We could also call them, by the way, structs, and they are a way to group several related variables into one place, and each variable in the structures is known as a member of the structure. So it's unlike an array. A structure can contain many different data type, int, float, char, etc. So inside the basics, I'm gonna create structures or structs. Inside of it, I'm gonna do basics.c, and the boilerplate order like this. Remove these unneeded libraries. Okay, so how to define a struct? So at the top, before the int main, you're going to type struct and then pass the name of the struct. I'm gonna say my struct. Okay, then open the curly bracket, add semicolon here, and inside of here pass your data. So here is the data. Okay, so for instance, I'm gonna define two ints. I'll say age, or my number, and I'm gonna define char. I'll say my letter. Okay, inside of the main function, to have access to this, we need to copy this struct name, my struct, like this. Then we need to define something here like s1. Okay, then s1, to have access to these members or this data type here, you have to type s1 that we defined, then add the dot, and it gives me the access. All right, so if I type my name, my num, I'll say like 15, and another one dot my letter, I'm gonna set it to m. Okay, and then if I need to print them, I'll say name num is format specifier. I'll add new line, then I'll add s1 dot my num, and the same thing for my letter. I'll just pass my letter, and the letter it is a char, and also here I'm gonna pass my letter, and here my name. Okay, let me add here another new line. Clear, run the program. So my name is 15 and my letter is M. So we could access more data type here. Instead of typing int number 1 char letter 1, then define a lot of data type, we could now create an is2 and is3, for instance, is4, and each time we're gonna just to say like here is 1, we're gonna see 2, 3, 4, this is gonna be like 16, a letter is gonna be N, L, G, and for the numbers 6, let me change this number like this. And also if we want to print this, okay, so for is1 I'm gonna change it to 2, and here 3, and here 4. So when we run the program, as you see, it's printing the number and the letter without the need to define number 1, number 2, number 3. It just each time have the access to the number and insert a new value by doing struct. So this is the beautiful things, or the beautiful thing about struct. There's another type to, instead of typing struct here, we could remove it, and that by adding here data type def like this, and add here the name of the struct that you want. Let me see here, I'll say first struct like this, and we could pass this inside my struct. We could use first struct like this, and if we run it again, it's gonna work normally. Okay, I think this is clear how to use structs. Now we're going to jump to a program that we're going to use a lot of stuff. Okay, now after we've seen this, how to use structs and how to access them, we're going to create a program to cover everything. So inside of here, let me delete this basics. Inside of the struct folder, I'm going to create program.c to cover all the important all the things about the struct. Okay, so this program, what we're going to create in this program, so we're gonna create a program about to get the size of students in a class, how many students in the class, and we're going to get the name of each student with their marks. So get student in a class, got their names, got their marks, and if, for instance, if student mark is greater than 12, we're gonna print a message. Okay, otherwise if it's not, let me see, else if it's not greater, that means smaller, we're gonna do it like a message you failed or something, and else we're gonna print another message. So this is what we're gonna create using struct. Basically, a student array of a lot of students. We're gonna in a class. We're gonna use array. Okay. So first of all, as I said, we need to define the struct. I'm gonna use type def, then struct, then I'll say class, then the curly brackets out here this. I'm gonna also pass here class, and here we're gonna type the data. So I'm starts with int mark, and char name, I'll give it 20 characters like this. So inside the int main we need to get the how many students, so print student equal to scanf function. I'm gonna use the format specifier. We're gonna get in underscore student okay, in student, and we're gonna use the address, so this we need to define it. I'm gonna do int. After that we need to define the class. As I said, we're gonna use array, so class and of in underscore or class of students. I'll pass here the array of in underscore student, and here we're going to create a for loop to get the mark of students and the name of students and save them here. Okay, so how to do that? I'll create a for loop inside of defined int here. I'm gonna define it here. Okay, so this in underscore students, and here we're gonna print enter printf enter name, the name for student one, student format specifier, then I'll say a+1. Then I'm gonna scan them, and we are getting the names, so we're gonna use the strings again here and the address. Then we're gonna pass the student array, okay, and this is gonna be I, and we're gonna have access to the class here, and these are name. Okay, so we're gonna pass here name exactly like this. So let me complete the program. Now we're gonna get the marks, so enter mark, the mark of the student that. So student that, now we're gonna have the access to the mark instead of the name. So this is how to get the names and the marks of the students. So now we're gonna print this using the conditions. Okay, so now we get how many students in the class, we get their names, we get their marks. So let me print here like new line, print new line to separate the stuff. I'm gonna print here a message like name, add some spaces, then I'm gonna put again tt note or the mark, t mark, and t tab again a note or something. Let me type here the mark or marks, and here I'm gonna say notes. Okay, notes like this. I'm gonna print new line, like separate this like this, and finally a new line. Okay, now I'm gonna create another loop, so I'm gonna say for loop. Inside of I, I'm gonna use another letter like G. I'm gonna define it also up here, so G, and this is gonna be in student. And here we're gonna do our statement if. Okay, so if student at g dot mark of the mark is greater than 12, so greater than 12, as I said here, if the mark greater than 12 and we have access to the mark in the struct, if it's greater than 12, you're gonna print for me the d. Then I'm gonna print like this d is just for the students, this is the number of the students is gonna be. Okay, after that I'm gonna pass the name of the string just to be under the name. Okay, ss. I'm gonna do like a tab, 2 tabs. Again, I'm gonna print the notes. If it's greater than 12, here is gonna be the note. I'll say great, you are legend. Okay, like this. T separate, then another tab, then format specifier for the mark. Okay, so let me delete this. So format specifier for the mark, and I'll add the new line. Okay, then here I'm gonna pass. So as I said, this is the number of the student, so g plus 1, and secondary the name, so it's gonna be student at g dot name. We're gonna, as I said, printing the name, then the mark. This is the mark, so the same as here, but we're gonna has access to mark instead of name. Okay, so this is the first, and continue. Again, if the mark is smaller than 10, okay, we've done, so basically we're gonna say smaller than 10, that the student is gonna be is going to fail. So we're gonna remove this. We're gonna say here smaller than 10. Sorry, 10. Let me remove this. Save it. The same as above, but the difference here is just in the message. We're going to say you are going to fail, like this. You are going to fail, like this, and like this. And let me say, for instance, else. Otherwise, if the student, the point is between 12 and 10, I'm gonna print the same as this message here. Okay, but also the difference is just in the message. We're going to print here, do more effort, for instance, next time. Okay, so I think now the code is ready to run, so let me run it and see. So students, I'll say, for instance, I have 3 students, or 4 students, or just 3 students. Student name 1, I'm gonna say my name. Then the mark, I'm gonna say like 11. Student 2, I'm gonna say Nera.
I'm gonna say like the point is 80, 18, and the student number 3, I'm gonna say someone like Kauthar. I'm gonna point 9. As you see here, the student 1 name Muhammad. Note great, you are a legend. Nera. So basically something wrong here. We didn't specify the access of the mark. Student mark D, because it's not printing for me the student mark, it's just printing me some addresses, because I don't know what's wrong here. Let me remove this like this. Let me run it again. Students, I'll say 2. I'll say 12 or 11. Neta is gonna be grades. Still the mark not specifying here, because D string, then the D. Of course, the format specifier for the mark, it should be D instead of S. Okay, so let me run the program for the last time to see if it's working well. 3 students, the name 11, 80, 18, I'm sorry, then 9. As you see the messages, then point between 10 and 12, do more effort next time. The point greater than 12 is gonna print for me great, you are a legend. And if the point is smaller than 10, is gonna print for me you are going to fail. So this is how to create. So now we could create like thousands of students, 10 students, 11 students, and all of them gonna print here. Okay, so let me kind of here add a lot of add more space, and in the mark here I think let's just leave it as it is, and let type here like 10 students. In this case I'm gonna say student 1 name, I'll say I'll say Ahmed, and 11, 12, for instance, I'll say like 17, and I'll say Author 18. I'll say Khalid, I'll say for instance 9. I'll say Nera 20. I'll say Al Idrisi. Let me remove that space here. I'll say like 50. I'll say Kareem, I'll set it to 2, and student number I'll say Mehdi, I'll say 7, and I don't know, Bilal, I'll say 15. So as you see here, all the points with the notes set are here. So all the messages, and you could, as I said, insert more than thousands of students without the need to define each time the number, to define each time the mark of the student 1, the name of the student 1. Just by doing this, you could have access to the struct and pass as many as you want from of data. name, and integers. So this is the useful about structs. Up to now we can play the course of C language or this beautiful tutorial. We're going to find all the links in the description for the source code. You can download that from GitHub repository or check the website. Up to now I'm not working on that, but probably in the soon future we're going to find all the links and everything in the description. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.